I changed out my shock absorbers on my E36. I didn't record taking the lug nuts and the wheels off, but here's a clip of me jacking the car up. I jacked the car up towards the center, and then I leave enough room to put the jack stand underneath it. And then when you take this off, just make sure that you twist at the very end so that you tighten the back up. Okay, cool. Now we're in the trunk of the car. We're inside. Whoa. The first thing you're going to need to do is remove that tail light cover, and then you can start removing the lining along the trunk. There's going to be these two little round, I don't know what you want to call them, but you need a flathead to deal with them. There's two on both sides. I'm going to do these first two, then later I'm going to do the other two. Okay.
Here, let's make space.
Oh yeah, good idea, Juan. Thanks, bro. And now we have access to the first shock absorber.
Is that under tension or no?
No.
Don't quote me on that. Okay, and now that we're up here, we could grab our 13mm and start undoing these nuts. I left mine on a little loose, but when you do it, you can probably just take them off entirely, and then when you undo the bottom, it'll just fall on the bottom. I opted not to do that, don't know why. Go ahead and grab your 18mm now.
I kind of want to get that breaker bar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And your breaker bar if you need it. We didn't record for a second, but there's the breaker bar. I recommend you get one, especially if you're going to be working on your car. Anyway, now I'm up top loosening those nuts that I could have probably done this in the beginning. Amazing. Okay, now we're doing the other side. Wow. Alright, now we're back in the truck again. We're going to do the other two round, whatever they're called, and get them off. Alright, get that other tail light cover, and then be careful with this part right here. There's a little wire, and you don't want to rip it. I don't know what it's for. Anyway, now we're over here, and there's two more 10mm bolts. The first one is going to be right there. You might not need to do this one. You might be able to just do the second one, which is closer to the battery, and that might be enough to pull this part off, but I'm not sure. Try it. Okay, cool. Now we got our second shock absorber, really dusty. Gonna clean that thing off. If you have a rag, I would take the time to do that. And here's our new shock absorbers next to our old ones with a couple of bolts. This is how to not get this off, just so you don't try that. Okay, you gotta pump these new ones up. It says 3 to 5 times on the manual or online. Somewhere I read that, so I did. It's much easier to pump that way just now. These took me a second to figure out, but here you go.
It just pops right in.
Perfect. Alright, now we're gonna put it back together. Start with the tube, then the bump, and then the part with the two screws, then the spinning metal plate, and lastly the nut. Good job. You're going to need 2 wrenches for this next part, one to hold the top of the shock absorber, that little tiny point, and then one to spin it so that you can tighten it. If you're by yourself, get a friend. If you don't have a friend, you can do it. Shout out to my boy Juan for coming through on Saturdays and helping me with the car. I hella appreciate you, dog. Thanks, man. Alright, that's one.
So you guys gonna make a video out of this?
Hell yeah, Nick. And now we're tightening up our second shock absorber. You don't have to clean this part if you don't want to. I just figured that since I was already down there, I might as well. I also cleaned out the holes for the lug nuts just because they were pretty dirty. Oh yeah, and then I cleaned the rotor, sort of. I tried to. You don't have to do this. You'd save a lot of time if you didn't. Now we're on the other side. I sprayed some copper grease on the bolt because I saw a video that said to do that. I don't know what the benefits are. Alright, and now we're going to attach the shock absorber to the wheel hub housing or knuckle. I'm not sure what it's called. Now we're going to jack it all up so that those 2 screws fit into those two holes. And take your time. Make sure everything's lined up and that you're not just forcing the screw because it could cause a little bit of damage. Okay, amazing. Keep going. Alright, reinforcement plate. Get them. I like that sound. I got these a little snug, and then after I torque the bottom, I'll come back up and tighten them. Looking back, I think I should have torqued it with this jack still supporting the weight, because when I took it in to my mechanics to check on a lot of the stuff that I did, they told me it was loose. Whoops. It's supposed to be at 57 foot-pounds, which is what I did, but it was loose. Don't worry about that control arm hanging there. There was one in the clip earlier. I just wanted to do these jobs at the same time, so I did. And now we're gonna finish tightening the bolts up top. And now we're gonna jack up the other side so that we can get the screws through the two holes up top. I skip to, after this, right to torquing the shock absorber. I didn't record getting the tires back on or fixing the trunk liner, but those 4 round things that you could use the flathead for, you can just push them back in. It's really easy. The torque for the lug nuts on the wheels should be 88 foot-pounds. And you're done. Double check. Solid. Great work. Next up, control arms. Let's go. Thanks for watching, and if you have any feedback at all, I'd love to hear it.